Greetings to you all. I have gotten lots of questions about the assignment this week, so I thought I would record a video because it's a little bit easier to explain by video than it is by one of those long drawn out emails that I know you probably enjoy reading as much as I love writing them. But this week, so a few weeks ago, week 4, you did a workup, a health history workup. What types of questions would you ask about these systems? This is a part 2. This builds onto that. And by the way, I am in the process of grading those. I've got about 45 of them I have to grade, and it takes a while. So please be patient with me. I can almost guarantee you that you more than likely have the right answers there. So if you think that you are shooting in the dark and you're not really sure, then just email me and let me look at yours, pull yours to the top of the list before you move forward. But my intention is to have those graded and you have your feedback by lunchtime tomorrow. So part 1 was to just write the questions. What questions would you ask about the ears? What questions would you ask about the head, the neck, the eyes, and so on and so forth. Part 2 is for you to actually ask the questions. So this time you're going to create a video. So you can set up your cell phone or your webcam on your computer to record you and another person. That other person has to be a consenting adult, so it needs to be an adult, not one of your children. It can't be one of your actual patients. It could be a coworker. Who else can it be? Yeah, so not an actual patient and not a child, not a minor. So find a partner, a coworker, whoever. If you're fancy, you can get on Zoom with one of your classmates here and record this interview process. This is not a hands-on assessment. This is just the interview. So you're going to start with, why'd you come in today? That's how you find out what their chief complaint is. What brings you in today? Then you're going to ask the old card questions. When did this pain, that's their problem, when did this pain start? Where do you hurt? What else do you feel? Are you nauseated? Are you having any dizziness, loss of appetite, or whatever might be associated with that pain? Have you had any injury or accidents? Where's the pain? I think I asked you. OLD. How long has the pain been going on? How long does it last when it comes? Is it constant or is it intermittent? That's duration. Associated factors, relieving factors, temporal factors. Is it worse in the morning or worse at night or worse when you run or worse when you're sitting? What time or what events might bring this on? So that's your O card part. You've already written all of those questions. So now it's just a matter of reviewing it so that it's fresh enough in your mind that you can flow through the questions without having to stop and look at your notes, because you have 5 to 10 minutes to get all of this out. The systems that you need to cover are on the assignment sheet for this week. The review of systems part is what's next, so I'll ask specific questions about the eyes, about the ears, about the nose, about the throat. The reason we do this is because a lot of times we're in the habit of asking questions just about the complaint that brings them in. So say you've got a patient that comes in with cough, and we say, okay, tell me when the cough started. What are you taking for it? What makes it worse? And maybe we may ask, what time of day is the cough worse, or does it last? Is it come and go? Is it intermittent? Is it constant? We might ask some of those old card questions. But then we usually stop at that. We're just assessing the respiratory system because we're thinking it's a cough. It's probably respiratory infection or COPD or something like that. But what we're trying to get you to do is expand and consider that cough may be related to cardiac symptoms. I know you probably had CHF patients that have had a cough. It may be related to a GI system issue. So you may have had a person with a reflux that's had a reflux long enough that it actually burns a hole or wears thin the lining of the esophagus. That can cause a cough. You can have liver issues. You can have various different things. You don't need to know all the diagnoses and differential diagnoses, but I at least want you to get used to asking questions in a broader fashion so that you're giving more information to the provider for them to be able to make their diagnosis. So that's really all that you're doing, but you're just doing it from memory so that you can flow through and ask all of this. You'll see the rubric there, so you get 30 points for an organization, so it needs to flow from head to toe. Content, are the questions accurate? Are they comprehensive? Just try not to shortcut. If you've written up 4 or 5 questions for each system, ask those. Don't let there be a system like skin, hair, and nails where you only ask one question of that whole system. Make sure that you're doing a thorough interview about each particular system. Professionalism, that's kind of a given. Just make sure you take your time, and if you need to edit or if you need to revise, don't do something like having a box in your back corner. We just moved in a new building, so a lot of us are still moving in and unpacking. But try to have a nice professional background. Don't do what I do. I wouldn't count off for that. But I've seen some really interesting videos in some interesting places, so just try to have it in a place that's presentable. And then the independence piece is another 20 points, and that you're able to ask these questions without looking at your notes, without having to stop and comb through, that you don't sound like you are reading from a list of questions and doing stuff like that. So I think that's the quick and dirty of it. I'm trying to think what were there was another question. Give me a second while I pull up the Ask the Faculty forum, and it is not pulling up right now. There was one more question about this. Oh, whether you can use the same chief complaint that you use for your interview. You can use the same one, but you're building on it. So there are a few more systems involved now than there were when we did that first assignment, because we've covered a few extra weeks now. Just look at your rubric for this assignment to see what else is included. But you could also use a new patient and a new complaint. So that I'll leave up to you. I don't necessarily need it to look alike or completely different. I just want it to build on what you've already started. You already started the work for this assignment, so now it's just a matter of performing it, which is why it's your health history performance piece. And let's see. There was one more question. Okay, your video. Oh, where it says to add. So if you're uploading this as a YouTube video, and if you don't know how to do that, just go to YouTube, type in the search bar, how do I upload a YouTube video? And it'll give you step by step on how to do that. That's the easiest way to make it accessible to everyone. When you do that, you have to make it public so that you can copy the link and paste it into the discussion board. Once the grading is done and the course is over, you can make it private or completely delete it off of YouTube. That's fine. But for now, it needs to be public so that I can see it. If you upload it into your Google Drive, then you have to provide some emails for Google to share it with people. So definitely provide my email. And if there are other people in your group, because there's too many groups for me to have to go through and try to give you all each other's email addresses to add onto this thing, my preference is that you use YouTube and not the Google Drive upload. But if you use the Google upload, at least make it shareable with me. Or there's a box that you can click that says anyone that has this link can view the file. If you choose that one, then it should be easy for everyone to access. So those are the two ways that you can make that accessible in your group. And then the whole point of the discussion board, where you'll see discussion board not graded, is just for you to be able to look at your classmates and see how they're doing this. This may not be a skill that you are using much, and we lose skills that we don't use, so you may want to see how other people are performing it as well. So I think that's all the questions. Let me double check. Yeah. Okay, so I covered that one. Keep popping those questions in the Ask the Instructor forum, and I will get to those. And then I am frantically working on grading and getting caught up. So you'll have some feedback about that part. So just be patient with me. I hope everyone's life is getting back to normal and that you haven't had hurricane madness and moving buildings and on top of everything else. Or I know some of your stories are much worse, and some of you are still seeking some sort of balance in your life. But take good care of yourselves, and I will see you in the forum.